Hello everybody and welcome along to this week's edition of the Rebel Wide Ball. And I suppose before we look at what may happen on the playing fields over the weekend, I look back at some of the items that entertained us since we saw you last. Education is right up there in terms of media attention, and of course we wish the very best of luck to all the Leaving Cert class of 2020 who get their Leaving Cert results on Monday. Despite the fact that you never sat the exam, I'm talking to the students now, you're going to get the best results in the history of the state. There was a bit of controversy during the week about the release of these results, insofar as that there was no great problem about the release of them, but the very fact that the rankings that students got in their class, I think the understanding was that teachers believed when they made these rankings and made their submissions, they did it in good faith. And despite the fact that there was always a possibility that these rankings could be obtained under freedom of information if there was an appeal or anything like that. But I don't think teachers believed that they were going to be released with the exams. And you can understand that, like there are teachers teaching children in their own areas, they're teaching their neighbours' children, probably teaching their own children, and the publication of rankings so easily was bound to cause grief. You can imagine that Johnny up the road, oh yeah, you got a 50% or whatever, but you're at the bottom of the class, whereas Mary next door was at the top. So I can understand the concerns of teachers, but it appears now that the State Exam Commission and the Department of Education and Skills have sought legal advice about the publishing of those rankings, and for the moment it would appear that they're after being postponed. But anyway, for those who those who didn't sit the exams but were in the class of 2020, the very best of luck. And look, I said at the very start, you're going to be the best looked after class of all time, and there will be adequate and numerous college places available for you as you start the next stage of your educational career, if you wish. I didn't realise that Leo Varadkar and Danny Healy-Rae would ever come together in terms of fighting the cause for the rural publicans. Well, that's what appears to be happening. And the wet pubs of Ireland, I don't know where anybody came up with this title, but these are the publicans. They're being portrayed now as the marginalised group from society, and there's absolutely no doubt. Of course, you can understand their frustrations. Comparing a pub in Ahiol with a nightclub in the middle of Dublin isn't exactly comparable. So it would appear that over the next couple of weeks a decision will be made to open the publicans, and after all, we've been told now that they're the most responsible group of people of all time. Yeah, the Wellingtons, well, the show goes on. Has a pair of Wellingtons ever given us so much entertainment? This is the fourth fitting in 2020. Remember Michael Creed, he started off. Now he departed the Wellingtons without any great fuss. It was just a change of government. Then Barry Cowan followed and he was forcibly removed from them. Next up was Derek O'Leary, who felt he had to hand him back. And the latest was Charlie McConnell from Donegal. I nearly stumbled on the pronunciation of the Donegal man's name. Well, he's from the Inishowen Peninsula and he made his way to the Áras yesterday for another medal. I'd imagine Michael Dean Sabina must be absolutely flat out from making coffee for all these fellas standing up at the front door looking for seals of office. One wonders if in future when they gave out the medal that they would have handed in about 50,000 as a deposit, and if they could cop themselves on and behave themselves for a month that they'd get that back. But anyway, like on a serious note, obviously it's hugely important brief, if you like, the Department of Agricultural, Food and the Marine, and affecting so many people. So we wish the Donegal man all the best, and hopefully he'll be able to hold on to these Wellingtons until at least 2021. COVID, well, we're going to have to live with it, aren't we? And it's all about taking precautions and being safe. And, we had further reminders during the week of, schools having to send classes home and schools that had to close down and all of that. But with a young doctor from Bantry, Dr. Owen O'Farrell, he's qualified, I think, in 2019, but he contracted the deadly illness, if you like, back in the May Bank Holiday weekend, which, required hospitalisation for a period of something like 15 days. And, he was seriously ill, and I know there were people concerned about him at the time. Then he went home to recover, and he spent quite an amount of time at home recuperating. Well, he's now back, and the reason why he's in the news this week, in a certain amount of the news anyway, is that he's going to be speaking at a webinar about COVID and COVID experiences. And I suppose when a medical young man like him will tell a story, it will be aimed, I presume, at other young people who may feel that, you know, they're immune when it comes to all of this, and you know, that COVID doesn't affect them. And I know that in the majority of cases where young people contract the condition, they make a full recovery, but not everybody does, and this is one illness that you wouldn't want to be taking your chances with. Also, we noticed during the week a phenomenon called Cork Goes Red, and I suppose many of us thought that an opportunity to wear the colours of this county would never present in 2020. Well, seemingly now we will get our chance on September the 16th. This is the brainchild of Conor Cahalane, a young Cork hurler. He plays hurling with St. Finbarr's, football for Castlehaven, and he's come up with this idea to raise funds for primarily for the Marymount Hospice. And you remember the Cork hurlers did raise a huge amount of money early on in the year. Well, not so much early on, but when the lockdown happened. And it's also to commemorate the I suppose the huge achievement that happened 30 years ago when Cork won the double. I think it was on the 2nd of September in 1990, the hurlers won the All-Ireland, and then 2 weeks later on the 16th, the footballers achieved that great victory, and you know, they were double champions. Will it ever happen again? I'd say not in our lifetimes, but maybe that's for another day. But the whole, this is a kind of a simple fundraising venture, if you like. All that like Conor is the prime driver of this, but it's backed heavily by the Cork County Board, and you know, by members of the double winning team are fully behind it as well. So the plan is that we'll all wear the Cork colours on that day, and that workplaces, be there workplaces and schools all over the country would put up red bunting and colour the county red, and raise funds, as I said, for the two causes, but particularly the Marymount Hospice, with the majority of the money going there. There's an I Donate page after being set up for that. So the best of luck. It's great to see a young man coming up with, you know, it's a great idea to raise funds. And of course, it does, I suppose, help to mark the achievement that happened, 30 years ago, a remarkable achievement of winning the double. So the best of good luck to everybody involved there. But as I said to you, it's going to be a massive weekend in terms of Gaelic games, Camogie and ladies football. And this weekend, we're going to have the third round of the Bon Secours Cork County Championships here. Unlike the hurling, it's not greatly different. There was 5 hurling championships, and what an incredible number of games we had last weekend. We told you sit back and to get out the popcorn. You can do the very same this weekend. And last week, I suppose the story of the weekend was the performance of Corsi Rovers. They were the only team that started off at the bottom of their group with no point, and they ended up qualifying for a quarter final. It was an awesome achievement. Now, we've been kind of looking at the football, and there are in all the groups that we have, there's I think 13 groups this weekend. The teams at the bottom are all on 0 points, bar one. The Dawnies are in their group; they have 1 point, and I don't think there's a possibility of the Corsi factor happening this weekend. But let's wait and see. Is there any team out there that's on 0 points at the moment can come along and qualify for the knockout stages of the championship? The games will be played on Saturday and Sunday. We have at 4 o'clock on Saturday, we have the Premier Intermediate Football Championship. At 6 o'clock, we have the Intermediate A. And then on Sunday, you have the 2 top grades. You have the Premier Senior Football at 2 o'clock, followed by the Senior A at 4 o'clock. And looking at the various championship, we'll start with the Premier Senior Football. And here we have our 3 groups again, and some amazing games in prospect. In the first group, you have Bars, Ballincollig, Clonakilty and Carrigaline. It's dead simple here. The Bars are on top. They're on 4 points. They play Clonakilty, and they will be favourites to win that game in Coachford. Clonakilty, who beat Carrigaline the first day out, and maybe we were lulled into believing that this is going to be their year, but they collapsed completely against Ballincollig, so they have no choice, only get their act together and try and defeat St. Finbarr's, and that's going to be a big ask for them. Ballincollig play Carrigaline, and as Carrigaline have lost their 2 matches, lost them well, Ballincollig will be favourites to win that one. That game goes on in Porky Range. So look at it from this distance here, it does appear that the 2 victors will be the Bears and Ballincollig. Have we been wrong in the past, my friends? Have we? In the next group, Castlehaven and Island Rovers. Castlehaven should win that one, and if they do, they'll top the group. Now, they have something to play for as well, even though they're assured of qualification. Regardless of results happening elsewhere, they will want to get that one, like, you know, the 3 groups, the best team, the best winner, or the best group winner, go straight through to the semi-final. At the moment, I suppose Nemo Rangers are in pole position, but a lot will depend, it goes without saying. Cabra Rangers and Newstown, what a match in Ballinascarty. It's a quarter-final, it's a knockout game. You can talk scoring differences all you want. A draw, though, would do Newcestown, because they have superior scoring difference. And what a club, we talk about them all the time because of their dual nature, and they're dual in every sense of the word. So I think that's going to be an incredible match. And trying to predict the winner, I suppose, look, if you're taking purely football, you'd be going Cabra Rangers. They don't have hurling to worry about. But these Newcestown guys are capable. I won't say they're capable of anything, but they're certainly capable of winning. The final group here, you have Nemo Rangers playing Douglas in Páirc Keeve. You'd have to fancy Nemo Rangers there. Like a lot of in Douglas, they've taken a decision this year, or the players have, you know, not to play the 2. And after last week's mammoth victory over Middleton, what a great performance that it was by Douglas. I think, remember we mentioned about they rising and taking their place among the nations? Well, they did big time. I don't think their footballers will, though. You'd have to fancy Nemo Rangers there. Valley Rovers have a great chance of qualifying. They're playing Bishopstown. Bishopstown are pointless after their 2 games. That game goes on in Ballinora. This is Valley Rovers' chance to redeem something for the season, because their hurlers are in a relegation battle to survive in their grade. So that's going to be a big match. Then in the Senior A Football Championship, we have some great games coming up here. I think the first group in this, it's O'Donovan Ross, St. Michael's, Ballingeary and St. Nick's. I think the meeting of O'Donovan Ross and St. Michael's, if I'm not greatly mistaken, is the first meeting of any 2 teams that have won their 2 previous matches, that last week or this week. So basically they're fighting here for the semi-final spot, and the game goes on in Ballineen. Look, O'Donovan Ross, the team for Skibbereen, you know, we're at the higher grade of I've seen it for a long number of years, then dropped down when this regrading took place, and they've been playing really well. They have a number of players back after injury, and maybe not back from not playing for a while. St. Michael's, incredible club. They don't let losing finals define them, that's for sure. I think that's going to be a really good match. Ballingeary and St. Nick's. I've always said about St. Nick's, since I became aware of them, they'll win 1 match and they'll survive. They're only out of matches. And Ballingeary are not the force they were. Like, you know, the team is getting a little bit, I suppose, old or more experienced. I probably should put in a better word there for you. But I still expect Ballingeary, despite the fact that St. Nick's, seemingly it's been rumoured that maybe a few of the hurlers from Glen Rovers will come back to give them a hand in their hour of need. But I'd still fancy Ballingeary there. Kishgame, the next group then, Kishgame play Rogue, top of the group after winning all their matches. Rogue are a little bit of an enigma in terms of, you know, they can be good one day and not so good the next day. This is a big match for them after their defeat to Mallow, when they're now long unbeaten. They're capitulated, and they need to get their act together big time. That match goes on in Glantan. As I said, O'Donovan Ross are playing in Eskeen, and Ballingeary, Nixon, Carrigadrohud. Mallow and Bantry. Bantry are pointless, but they didn't lose their matches by much, and I know that they're really out to win this one. And so are Mallow. You know, after they were a bit disappointed after losing the Gish game. They didn't lose by much. Big win the last day, and the bit is between the teeth. So I think that'll be a really close game in Macroom. The last group in this is really exciting stuff, in that you have none of them are on 4 points. Right, that's a bit unusual. If you look through all the other groups, it very rarely this happens. But Bandon are on 3 points, and they play for Moy. And you know, I think there's nothing between these 2 sides. Both of them, you know, have won a match, and Bandon have They were nearly lost against the Dawneys, and a late equaliser got them over the line, so that's a big game for them. And of course, Bandon Hurlers qualifying as well. Great time for the club. Clyde Rovers and Dawneys. Dawneys are on 1 point. Now, the only way they can survive is beat Clyde and for Bandon to beat Fermoy. And they would actually, can Bandon step up to the plate and do them a favour? Well, we'll have to wait and see about all of that. There's another little subplot in this particular championship. Paddy Cassan is the coach of a rogue, and he plays with Clyde. Simple, isn't it? What does he do on Sunday at 4 o'clock? And then you have another little scenario developing where Owen O'Shea plays for a rogue, but his father John O'Shea, who is an astute footballing brain, or has an astute footballing brain from South Kerry, living now obviously in a rogue territory, he, I believe, is involved as an advisor and maybe more with the Bandon setup. So we could have all sorts of scenarios here. I mean, the O'Sheas, John or Owen, they could be compared to maybe Andy and Owen Farrell, the Irish rugby manager, and Owen Farrell, who plays with England. These are I'm telling you, great matches, and we really look forward to them. Then on Saturday we have the Premier Intermediate Football Championship, and again, 3 groups, and we have Newmarket playing Castombear. Newmarket will be fancied to win that game. That game goes on in Clondrohid, I think it is, yeah. Castombear still think they have a chance in this championship. They're wide up by their recent victory, and they tell us that they're going to have a right cut off this one. But I think Newmarket will be still the favourites there. Ahead in a Piershig at the bottom of their group. And, I still think that they will be in the bottom of it when this is over. Ahead of a good enough footballing side. So it looks like that Newmarket and Ahead could be the 2 teams that would qualify there. The next group contains what I would consider the 2 favourites for the championship in the one grouping, and that's Kilnamartyr and Knocknagree. They play each other Sunday. The game goes on in Mourneabbey. Now, the scenario is as simple as this. They have played each other a few times in the past. It'd be kind of honours even, right? Anthony O'Connor is a big loss for Knocknagree. No doubt about that. He's out injured and probably will be for the season. But anyway, look, championships are about players on the pitch, not about sad tales of who's not here today. But if Nevervaughan beat St. Vincent's, which I'd expect them to do, and if they beat them by maybe 7 or 8 points more than what Knocknagree were to lose, right? It's Nevervaughan would get through. Now, if Knocknagree can lose, they'll be on 3 points. Kilnamartyr would be on 4 points. Nevervaughan would be on 3 points. But to come down then to scoring differences at the moment, there's 8 points. Knocknagree enjoy an 8-point advantage in that scenario. I think that's going to be a really, really great games there. Nemo Rangers, Macroom and Kentork. Nemo Rangers, Macroom, Kentork and Gable Rangers are the final grouping. Nemo Rangers play Macroom. Here I think Macroom might get over the line. Like they were a bit unlucky to lose to Kentork, and then they beat Gabriel Rangers. I know Nemo are top of the pile at the moment, but Macroom will be hoping that they can win that one. But so can Kentork win against Gabriel Rangers, and not alone that, but like it would appear that that would be the case, and they'd be well capable of winning it. Gabriel Rangers, though to say it, are probably stay a relegation final. And finally, then we have at 6 o'clock on Saturday. Finally, when I say in terms of the intermediate A, and there are 4 groups of 4 here. The top 2 will go through to the quarterfinals. Now, this particular championship is going to be reduced next year down to 12 teams, but this year there's only going to be 1 relegated. And again, some great matches. In Group 1, you've got Mill Street playing Glenville. Glenville have lost their 2 matches, and Mill Street have won those 2, so they'd be kind of favourites there. Ballinor and the Bars, this is an intriguing match now because, they're both on 2 points. Ballinor have the better scoring difference and may get over the line here. It's the Bars' second team, so Ballinor will be, hoping that they'll be the team that will qualify for that quarter-final spot. I think Rockchapel and Drumtariff, they're at the top of Group 2 at the moment. Rockchapel are playing Ballydesmond, and unfortunately for Ballydesmond, they're pointless. Drumtariff are on 3 points, Rockchapel are on 3 points because they drew when they met each other earlier on. and Drumtariff playing Kinsale, and even though the Kinsale had a win against Ballydesmond, I think that Drumtariff, will get through there, and it looks like that the two Duhallow teams will top the group. Duhallow football is going well if you listen to what I've been saying about the various groups. Mitchelstown, then Glanworth, Adrigole and Mayfield are in the next group, and Mitchelstown, I think, are assured of qualification. They've won their 2 matches, won them well. They play Mayfield in Fermoy. Mayfield haven't won a match yet, and it's a bit. All the teams on the north side of the city in football are at the bottom of their groups, and it's a huge area. Football should be doing better there, and I'm not saying it will be interesting, but I would imagine for the sake of football on the north side that a few of them would want to get up and not be at the bottom when everything finishes up at the weekend. And Glanworth play Adrigole. No, Glanworth, they've both 2 points each, but I have a slight fancy for Glanworth there. Adrigole would be, I'm not saying that they don't have championship ambitions, but they'd be happy to be out of relegation, a relegation battle, and if Mayfield are beaten, that they'll avoid that. Kilshannig are the best team in Group 4, and they play Kildare, and the Kildare, their hurlers flying as well after qualifying for the semi-final. So that'll be a big game in Blarney. I suppose you'd fancy Kilshannig. They were last year's junior county champions. And finally, Ahabolog, a win and a loss, and they play Glanmire. And again, Glanmire, I've said it so often, if you look at the results down underage level, playing a Premier 1 and Premier 2, and then here they are, they should be higher up the ranking, I would imagine. But anyway, we have a number of other matches in the ladies' football. Then you've got 2 big games on Saturday. 1 at 3 o'clock is the Junior A football final between Valley Rovers and Douglas. Now, it's Douglas's first time appearing in a final. Valley Rovers, I think this is their 3rd time. They have the Kiley twins, Darren Emer, and they're a good side. And when they met earlier on in the group stages, Douglas won it. I think it was a narrow enough margin. And the Douglas side, they're a coming team. They have a lot of underage talent. And Ciara Hartnett and Abby O'Sullivan are players that come to mind, but they have plenty of other good players. And then that game's at 3 o'clock. At 5 o'clock on Saturday, then another big match is the intermediate final between Clonakilty and Glanmire. And, Glanmire, a lot of their players play Camogie with SARS, and they won the Camogie Championship last year. They're strong throughout the field. They're a young team. They beat Clonakilty in the group stages. They will be favourites to win it. They have good players, I said, all over the pitch around. You've Ellen Murphy and Abby O'Mahony. I think they play around the middle of the field. They'll face the O'Learys, Anya and Claire. And the Clonakilty, they have about 4 players, including Martine O'Brien, the cup footballer, who won an All-Ireland Junior back in 2009. That's 11 years ago, and imagine they're still playing. So there'll be 2 great finals, and there'll be 2 evenly matched finals. You can be sure of that. Then in Camogie, we have the quarterfinals of the SE Systems Senior Camogie quarterfinals. And here we have Catherine's playing Corsi Rovers. I have a slight fancy for Corsi Rovers here. They have a lot of good players. So have Catherine's, no doubt about that. They play 2 o'clock, and all those games we played in Castle Road. They play 2 o'clock on Saturday. We have to reach for the Ishka. Killa play the Bars at 5 o'clock, and I think that the Bars probably will get over that one. And then fine, and Sunday then you have Glen Rovers versus Inniscarra. Inniscarra have been county champions in the past. Some people are talking about the Glen Double, senior hurlers and senior Camogie. It'll be a good match. 1 o'clock, they meet in Castle Road, and the final game then that we'll be talking about is Aoróg and Douglas. And I think, of course, the Douglas, some of the girls will be after playing football with Douglas the day before, but I think that they'll probably, that Aoróg would be slightly fancy there. So that's it, my friends, and the best of good luck, and hopefully we'll see you all next week.